I ain't beast on 100, you heard?
You are tuning in to T Consciousness. Please like, comment, and subscribe and hit the notification bell. Thank you. What's going on social media? It's T Consciousness and I'm back at you with another video on the black community and how we think and the dynamics of our cultural ethics. The problem with women in my community is they don't know what a real man is because they wasn't raised by one. Their sense of what a man should be is everything in a son they watch their single mother raised with them. A son can only do what he's told to earn privileges. A man tells his family what to do. And that's not natural to the strong, independent woman out here to follow. Soon as a man demonstrates leadership, they have a social allergic reaction to it and repulse. Grown men in this community are conditioned into being a son to single mother raised women, and they do what they're told by these women to earn the pleasure of their body. Nowadays, these women don't want a real man. They want a grown son they can control and watch do all the work that keeps her satisfied. And his ambition in this is driven by the guilt debt system of that woman's hurts that trauma bonds her to him, which is the same type of dynamic in the hurt single mamas and son bond. This system gives no man a right to speak his mind or be transparent about his feelings. As soon as he does, and if he's a son, he'll be threatened with being thrown out the house or taken out of this world because his mother brought him in it. And if she brought him in, she could take him out. And if he cries, he'll be threatened to shut up before he's given something to cry about. If he's a companion to a woman like this, she'll threaten to break up with him or divorce him, or throw him out the house and threaten him with his kids or the police. Men's compliance to women in this culture is based in fear. It's been programmed into the social eugenics of our subjective sensory to only comply to the instructions of an authority figure of a female. And I'm not afraid to speak on this and stand my ground and be a productive role model in this struggle. Our subjective senses and subconscious minds are programmed to only be in cohesive with the instruction and authority of a female figure, all because of the lack of a masculine male figure leading our homes and community churches that highly value motherboards in them, which is a group of elderly women who use their wisdom to cultivate young women into being versions of who they are, getting seasoned in youth, so by the time they're their age, they're solid like the mothers of the church that's teaching them so they can pass down the teachings to other young women. A lot of these church mothers were single most of their lives, that been through a lot that made them strong and independent and codependent on living up to the standards of holiness, having nothing else to live for. The doctrine they push keeps women single and sexually inactive with men to retain purity and holiness. These young women of the church are trained to make no decision without the church mother's validation. The contentions are good, but the impact is genocidal and annihilating to natural attraction between women and men that will bring productive procreation. The way we are trained to think is a prison system in itself that annihilates sovereignty and arrests the true God within. The way we're indoctrinated keeps us perpetuating poverty, and poverty doesn't always revolve around a lack of money, it revolves around a lack of knowledge. A lot of our people cringe and repulse from teachings like this because the subconscious computer has been programmed to run a certain software. True doctrine on who we are that's in the eugenics of our melanin and esoterical information in our spirituality doesn't make sense because their reality is based on what they were taught, and what they were taught was perpetuated in thought that gave them a reality to show for that's based in the struggle that keeps them codependent on an external God that's really within to bring intervention for change. Essential ancient information on who we are means nothing to our people nowadays because they don't see how physically beneficial the information is. The more poverty-stricken our people are, the more hyper-compulsive we desire material things to bring balance and stimulation to the troubled mind of being poverty-stricken. We live for status more than we live by ancient heritage. Our people has been gentrified out of our original spirituality by those that captured our ancestors into slavery, and the impact that left intergenerational trauma upon our people that had us vulnerable to fall to the ideas that come out of the propaganda that controls society, caused destruction to natural attraction between woman and man, family and legacy, and spirituality. Urban ghetto communities have a lot going on with them that they may not understand the severity of. They're too occupied living up to street code, validation of social media, social status, and flaunting material status to inspire and envy others. They tend to have a poor life ethic that's based in the poor education they receive, along with religion that teaches them they have to be perfect to enter the kingdom of heaven, which is impossible. Those that push this religious doctrine knows that in humanity there are needs we need to fulfill that's determined on our anatomy of survival that's deemed as sin to keep keep us in psychological debt and fear of doing things that's natural to human life to do that we were taught against, that's deemed as sin that will send us to hell. That alone is manipulation to dehumanize us and intimidate us with spirituality that's traumatizing to a person alone in the struggle. Black women that come from the streets who have lived in poverty-stricken environments and have poor low educational curriculum background tend to reflect poor life ethic. Their life experiences of being damaged by the opposite sex or early life childhood trauma and their lifestyle conditioning that defines their culture makes it hard for me to bond with them and demonstrate a healthy relationship. Black women in this culture highly value procreation more than they value marriage, family, and legacy. They don't understand or know what true love is. All they know what love is from a sexual standpoint, and when procreation comes out of sex, they use that baby as a point of contact to marriage, to bait or trap a guy into staying with them. Women of urban ghetto culture who are single mother raised, or some were raised with male figures in the household who played a beta simp role to their mother, still come out with the behavioral symptoms of being raised without a father that lead them to looking up to men in the culture who are the elite of the street, which is the toughest criminals or the drug dealers that make the most money or the guys that got the most sex appeal and swag that resonates to their mind that they're the only desirable men to breed with. And any man that represents anything productive outside of that, he's not desirable. He's corny, he's weird, and everything he stands for goes outside of the paradigm of urban ghetto culture life. The reason why black women in this culture love men of jail, it goes back to bedwenching. Because there were sex farms back in slavery where black men were kept in chains to breed with the women who were put in charge of taking care of the grounds of these facilities. Women became sociologically programmed sexually to give their bodies to men of prison, which is a mirror reflect back to intergenerational sexual instinct programming of bedwenching by those who had authority over them that treated them like sex cattle. I've been frustrated from the depravity of being loved, valued, and cooperated with consistently with black women I'm mostly attracted to. The single mother home they grew up in keeps them strong and independent. The narratives pushed in trap and drill music lyrics keep them unavailable sentimentally and detached from their feminine essence with men. The life values of the culture focuses on financial elevation, and to do so, people have to be relentless in hurting and finessing or killing other people to be elite in that area. This is why I no longer am attached to urban ghetto culture. I don't deal with rap music no more because it lost its essence from where it started. I don't go to urban nightclubs, bars, or hookah lounges, or parties, or concerts where a bunch of thugs and thought archetypes of men and women from the hood crowd at. People who perpetuate the ideology of this culture are potential collateral damage, a liability to life. When these type of people crowd in events, chaos breaks out, and I don't want to be in the way of getting hurt in a brawl or hit by a blade or bullet that wasn't meant for me, or even targeted for crime by somebody looking for trouble to come up, make a name for themselves, or relieve tension. I'm not turning my back on my black community. I choose not to deal with a certain archetype class of black people that come from the ghetto demographic. I've dated a lot of women that gave me temporary time of intimacy with them before they just disappeared. Some were around me for monetary gain, and when I withdrawed my benefits, when I realized that they were trying to finesse me, play me, use me, they got mad and cut me off or set me up for robbery. Some were stealing from me. I've even experienced baby mama drama. That's an epidemic in this community with women that have poverty-stricken background. I even experienced being targeted for crime by the fathers of children I tried to date the mother of. Urban ghetto culture is dangerous. Nothing prosperous ever came out of it. I'm looking forward to dealing with black women who live outside of the standards of urban ghetto culture, who have high levels of education and career status and in tune with their femininity and original spirituality. I'm looking for black conscious women of integrity who has some class. Women from the society where I come from are lacking a lot in areas that's crucial to life. They have a sense of low value of self. They only value their looks and their bodies and material things. The men in this culture only value street thug status and material things. The music of the culture is very destructive to life, and it highly perpetuates materialism, prostitution, drug use and abuse, alcoholism, violence, and exotic promiscuous hypersexuality. None of this is going on overseas in traditional Indian culture, Latino Hispanic culture, Asian culture, or African culture. Men who are experiencing the struggle of Americanized Western culture are going overseas looking for love, joining the Passport Bros movement. Women in America don't want to be rational. They determine men's logic as misogyny and accountability as demonizing judgment when they're being directed to a better alternative for their unruly behavior. The issue is their ideation of their high deep market value that makes them the prize, and they can do and say anything and not be held accountable for it, because everywhere they go, men find them desirable, regardless of what they're doing or saying. That's a red flag. A masculine man with conscious awareness and structure is obstruction to a 304's mission. A lot of guys who did a lot of self-work and follow alpha male red pill content, or maybe read books on it to be a better version of themselves after a life of hardship, being a beta male for women, and experiences left them a lesson to learn, to do better. After all the work y'all putting in, it seems like you're not getting far, because the women around you that look the best are programmed to be with men that treat beautiful women the best, regardless if they're giving their best. It be the most beta sent men that got the pretty boy fix up with swag and sex appeal and got some game. They're fixated on giving her whatever she wants, how she wants it, to reap the pleasure of her body. But things don't work that way in the world of an alpha or sigma male who knows his purpose, who has an abundant level of masculinity. That's repulsive to beautiful women who have a feminine image but masculine tendencies in this culture. What's wrong with black people is based in spirituality and the lack of education and the misindoctrination of religion that gentrified us out of our original state of spirituality. We don't value mental health. There's a lot of things that pass down intergenerationally that goes back to slavery that is symptomatic in the behaviors amongst black culture. And it's the government's setup of economy that takes a sociological effect on our community. But once we gain a sense of consciousness and awareness of self, that's when things will turn around for the better and we'll become one, and God will return to his people when we return to him, which is our original state. But that's enough for today. Thanks for your time. You will see me next time when I upload my next content. And please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Thank you.